So my name is Naomi. I go to my local community college and I'm a second year student technically. I'm transferring this upcoming fall semester and I am studying psychology to eventually become a therapist. I was going to do it sooner, but I was low key broke. So, I mean, it's pretty cool. I'm getting my associates here. So by the time I go to a 4 year, I'll have not that much to do. And I'll be able to start working the job I want as soon as possible, you know?
So how did you decide that you wanted to go down the path of getting your associates to wanting to go into psychology?
I literally just went to CAT Camp, which is just an event for, or just people who are entering the school. But the psychology thing, I have known that I wanted to do that for a long time because I've always wanted to do something that helped people. That has always been my goal. I wanted to be a doctor at first because feel like I'm making a real impact. So the doctor thing I decided to give up on though because I don't like blood. So that seemed like a pretty big deal breaker for that. So
I could see how that could be a challenge.
yeah, a little bit, yeah. So I decided to be a therapist just because I'm naturally very curious about people and I have a lot of empathy for people. And also, when I was young, a psychologist really helped me figure out my path in life, and I wanted to be that for other people. So yeah, just anything to do with helping people and the mind.
Well, I mean, that sounds like a great path. And yeah, even transferring for your bachelor's, it'll be the bachelor's of applied science.
Deciding if I want to do arts or science, probably arts. Yeah, because I think arts would be better for being a therapist, but I am really into the research aspect of it. So the science might align more with my interest at the time, if that makes sense.
Do they have good psychology programs at the different colleges you were looking at? Or are you set on one college?
Oh yeah, I'm set on one college. It has a really good psychology program and it allows lower classmen to do research with professors. So it's really cool just having that autonomy to learn about the stuff you actually want to and dive into the stuff you care about. That's really what I like about this college.
So you mentioned research on the science side. What kind of classes do they offer for that?
Path I'm thinking is to just take psychology courses that'll prep me for being a therapist. And then once I find something that clicks in my brain or sparks a lot of curiosity, then I will contact a professor that can help me with the research part of it and then do an independent study.
Study. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm hoping it'll be something really meaningful because some current ideas are researching how to be happier offline again, what activities help people go from, mindlessly scrolling all the time and feeling like they're trapped in a digital world to then being able to exist offline well. Am I explaining that well?
No, that makes a ton of sense. And that would be a great independent research type of study because growing up, I feel like I spent a lot of time outside, but I was also part of the digital age. So I was also in the house playing a lot of video games. And then when I first got my flip phone, well, I got a phone, but when I finally got a phone that had internet, that was also a game changer. Yeah, no, I don't think I got an iPhone till the iPhone 4 was my first iPhone.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is, see, again, saying something like that, I feel like I'm just so scared of being the old person in the room. I mean, I feel like we still have a couple more years, right? Before we're the old people. Yeah. But saying yeah.
Oh no, because then there's the generation before us that had those big block phones. If we're saying we're old, oh no. A big thing going on with people, scrolling on phones whenever they get a chance to wind down and stuff. But there are hobbyists too. There are people that do have hobbies. So, I mean, like I said, I was in the house playing video games, but growing up, we had a lot of fun doing a lot of kid things and, running around the neighborhood.
Yeah. And I feel like you're right. There can be hobbies online, and there can be amazing hobbies on, like, the internet and the digital world can be an amazing thing. Like, you can connect with people like we are doing right now.
I see a total benefit to it, yeah, because I just connected with my brother's cousin, and he was telling me what it was like living in Alaska. And my brother's, Eskimo, and he's from Alaska and all that. But it's different. It's nice to connect with people or family from parts of the different world. And I like technology.
I also like technology. Yeah, and the thing is though, it's a tool, I feel like, that can be used for amazing things. Like, during the pandemic, that's literally all we could use to stay connected. But also I just feel like it can be very draining, especially for people who work online. Yeah, I work online at a communication company. So and then I also use like the internet for my schoolwork. So I feel like constantly in front of a screen. So it's just nice to be able to look up and go outside and do fun stuff and connect with people in the real world and have conversations without, screens and notifications and stuff like that. So I feel like I am really interested in finding that harmonious balance where you're using the internet for good, but it's not taking up your entire life, if that makes sense.
On the flip side of that, I'm working outdoors, and I want to just chill, but I want to do my hobby, but I'm just too tired. Or, I'll have my daughter and she wants to go play, and we'll go to the skate park. I just want to like skate a little bit, and then I just want to like chill for the rest of the time. But yeah, no, I mean, definitely finding a hobby that interests you, that connects you out there. And that is what's so great about like even the school field trip that we went on. It allowed you to be able to go out and meet new people and experience the capital. But yeah, I definitely think companies should maybe offer some type of like part of like their benefit package of having some resource that they can go use to help them be able to interact with people outside of their network.
Yeah, like have real conversations.
Yeah.
Those like type of real conversations are nice. Like we had when we were like because when we were talking on the bus, there was no end goal. It wasn't networking. It wasn't, like some corporate thing. It was just like humans being humans. And I feel like those spaces are really, really nice to be able to have.
Yeah. I'm glad you enjoyed our conversation. I'm just a natural talker. I like talking to people. Well, for most of our listeners who don't know, we went on the Day at the Capitol field trip, I think last week sometime. It was I had a great experience.
Yeah, me too.
The whole setup was very organized. Who did you come with? Did you come with a group or with a class?
No, I just came because I thought it was interesting.
How did you find out about the event?
There were posters, and it was on like the website we use to find events for the school.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was. I was with a student organization, the Student Government Association. Yeah, so part of my role, I'm the senator of the tech campus, and hearing students and their concerns is a really important role. Because I'm able to address them with Student Government Association, and then we can help provide solutions for the students. Part of Student Government Association would be like addressing those concerns to our president at our meetings, and then we would find a solution to provide, and amongst other things, but something like this, like having water as an essential, and I know you guys did mention that water was provided for you in the beginning of the day for like a full 3 a.m. to 9 p.m. day.
Right. Yeah.
Which could be addressed because I don't know where the extra snacks and the extra drinks goes. And I know they might be concerned about trash, or I didn't know if there was a like take one policy. Like everybody
there
take one.
was.
Oh,
I
okay.
hope there wasn't.
I didn't want to look greedy, so I was just like taking one snack. I think I took one water, and I think that's it.
You survived.
But yeah, they didn't really specify how many we could take, but yeah, I mean, maybe it wasn't enough throughout the day, and that's something that we could like look into. Is maybe bringing the water bottles at, you know, maybe the extras, or just having like an extra supply of water bottles on the bus. I definitely think that whole situation with no accessibility to water when we stopped for a dinner time was a real concern, especially for people that didn't want iced tea or sweet tea or whatever it was, or the option of lemonade. You guys raised some valid concerns, and your friend that was there sitting next to you on the bus, she brought up some valid points. Like, what if somebody needed water, like just water, not
sugary drinks? Yeah. Like me, I'm one of those people that really needed water, because once after eating, I need water, or else I don't feel very good in a couple, like less than an hour, and I'm like, my head hurts and I'm just feeling tired. Should probably get that checked out, but yeah, it's probably something to do with my blood sugar. That was just something that was non-negotiable, and if something is wrong, I feel like it's kind of our duty to speak out, because if you're noticing something's wrong, then like I promise you a lot of people are also noticing it, and like they're probably just either too scared or just uncomfortable speaking out, you know what I mean? Yeah, sometimes we just have to go past the fear and speak out anyway, because I was definitely I'm more of a timid person, not really like a race some noise person. So yeah, just sometimes it's important to go past that and speak out anyway.
Yeah, and that's the really cool thing, is that when we were with student engagement, she asked us, you know, what profession we're going into and what we want to advocate for. And so it really got me thinking, like, you know, what do I want to advocate for in life, you know? And mine personally, through my personal experience, like I want to advocate for victims that survive domestic violence. Okay. But yeah, there was a lot of kids that wanted to advocate for, you know, special needs, education, or just a bunch of other things.
I mean, you don't have to answer this, but is there a reason why you want to go into that, or if that's what you want to advocate for?
Yeah, just because of like past personal experiences, and then like I had an advocate whenever I was dealing with stuff, and so, you know, she helped me through the process of what I was going through and whatnot, and so I think she made a pretty, you know, big impact in my life. With that being said, it's kind of like my way of giving back is by volunteering my time.
Yeah, so you're just paying it forward and putting more good out into the universe, hoping
I guess, yeah. I mean, I hadn't really thought too much about it, because when she asked us that, I thought like, no, I'd actually really consider it. And like, you know, after school, whenever I'm done with serving my term for different organizations in the school, which I am volunteering my time, like, you know, as different officers and positions, like we don't get paid for this. You know what I mean? Like we're doing it because, you know, we want to do it, and we want to be there, and we want to help, and we want to make a difference. And so, you know, I was thinking, you know, school's coming close to graduation, and out of school, that is pretty much, you know, where I could see myself being able to help out in an area where I feel like I'm needed.
That's amazing. But really, thank you for like your service as a senator of SGA, because I know y'all are important. I know y'all actually like connect with the student body and try to make our lives much better. So thank you, honestly, for taking the time to do that.
I mean, I care about the students at the campus, and sometimes there's a disconnect between oh, what could we do about this or what could we do about that? And that's why the student organization is there, and student engagement as well. I don't know if you have a student engagement on your campus. We don't on our campus, actually, but I know on bigger campuses, y'all do.
Yeah.
I know there was some LEAD program or student organization that came, SGA came.
Psi Beta came as well. I'm with Psi Beta, but I wasn't coming for Psi Beta. I do know our president came as well. Yeah. Psi Beta is the Psychology Honor Society. We host events for psychology students like myself. And just for examples, our last event was a professor from UTD coming and talking to us about the different career paths we could get into as psychology students with different levels of education, all the way from bachelor's to doctorate. And then we also hosted graduate students, like a panel, who talked about basically the real life experience of being a graduate student in psychology. It's not just numbers and data, it's just like, here's what it's actually like. And then we also host like drives and stuff. We just hosted a toy drive. So it's just really. And then we also have like networking opportunities for psychology students. It's just giving psychology students a space to learn and network with each other and people in the industry so they can actually understand what they're getting into and make sure that this is the career path they want to go into, if that makes sense.
Right. And I understand the mission. And that's amazing that you guys have that program for your psychology students, because I mean, having all those volunteer experiences and network experiences, I'm sure you guys also have internships and scholarships.
Yeah, it's like a national organization. We're lucky to have one on our campus. And the thing is, with helping out, it can look like so many different things. It could look like packing, care packages for people in those situations that need to get out. It could look like being boots on the ground, actually talking to them and welcoming them, or, it could look like so many different things. So if like your schedule is maybe hectic or whatever, you could still help in like, I don't want to say little ways, but different ways, that are more conducive to different lifestyles, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. So finding like a local organization that'll, help out with whatever I believe in. I think I might have to do my research and seeing where the need in the local community is. Yeah.
And I feel like, obviously I'm not discounting, helping global communities, but the local organizations is honestly amazing, because you're giving back to your community and you're helping your community thrive. And I just feel like if we, go back to that, then the world is going to would suck a lot less, because I feel like where we are in the U.S., in the West, we tend to be very individualized, or we stick to ourselves a lot. You know what I mean? And if we're donating, it's like we're donating to big organizations, which again, I'm not discounting, they need the money, but also if we just helped each other out in what looks like small ways, we could really make such a big difference and actually see and experience that difference, if that makes sense.
I think the last time I held some officer positions was maybe in high school, or even been elementary school, to be honest with you. But, with being a part of all these different clubs and organizations or associations or societies, it really does transfer to outside of the institution, bringing, new ideas into the club or different perspectives from what we experience being officers in school. Could really help out the organization, or could really help out the need of like distributing all the work. Because I don't know if you've ever been in an officer position where there wasn't enough officers and you had to take on like different roles.
Thankfully not. I mean, I've maybe kind of experienced that in my job, like working since I was 16, but thankfully I haven't been through that.
Okay. What's your officer position for Psi Beta?
I'm a PR.
What
Yeah,
does PR all consist of? Because I just got told to do PR.
So, I mean, we're going to talk about it in like the, school club event or school club scenario. Yeah, because PR could be so many things, but for us, it's managing how we come off as to the public or to the student body. So that means managing our social media. Managing our social media, taking pictures, interacting with comments and stuff like that. But also, I guess I do kind of like dip into other stuff. Like for the toy drive, I got the box and I decorated it so it would like look good. And yeah, I think it's mainly just like handling social media and then like posting stuff online, making sure that we have a good presence to the student body, and then like responding to people's questions or concerns or anything like that if they have any, in a way that reflects our organization. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, pretty much I have the same deal with taking pictures. I don't believe we have a social media account, but we do have a magazine that comes out. And so my job as PR is to mainly just take photos and then submit them.
That sounds interesting. How do you like doing that?
I just started the role, so I got offered the position last year for the American Welding Society, District 17. But then I got offered it again this year when they offered the secretary position. So I'm kind of doubled up right now with PR and secretary, which secretary is a whole different role within itself.
Wow, they really want you. Or they're just very understaffed, but
yeah, they're really understaffed. So anybody in the local district of 17 for AWS, we're looking for officers. Elections are coming up, I believe June. So May, June, email the president or AWS website. There's a link that you could, or I come to local meetings. We do have like online meetings and in-person meetings and stuff like that. But yeah, elections are coming up. And are you planning to elect or join any student clubs when you go to get your bachelor's?
Definitely, yeah. They have a Psi Beta organization as well. I definitely want to join that because I really, really like their mission. And I also want to join any social clubs. Like right now, I'm part of the African Student Organization. So anything like that. Yeah, I know. It's really cool. You get to just talk with people from different parts of the continent and learn about them as individuals, but also their experience in those countries. We have potlucks. We have a gala coming up, actually.
Girl.
Yeah, I know. It's really fun. Yeah.
Potlucks. Wait a minute. Did you go to the last meeting?
Go to like the general meetings. I don't do anything. Okay. And then I volunteer here and there. And go into the gala, but I'm not super involved in ASO. I just go there. And also I haven't been able to go to a lot of meetings because my car broke down for like 2 months. So I haven't been able to do anything. And thankfully now we have a new car. So yeah.
Well, on the plus side, there is CE classes offered, and you get a $1,500 scholarship that you could use per year. They offer automotive classes where you could take your car in and do like your tire check or check the wear on the brakes.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And they offer a lot of different classes besides brakes and suspension, I believe, steering. What is it? I can't remember. CE classes are basically continuing education classes. So they're credit classes, and then there's non-credit classes. So the non-credit classes are pretty much all of your like elective classes. Yeah. And you can get certificates in the class. And they're essentially not that long. And they do have different times. So if you're working and you want to, maybe take a class after work for, I don't know, let's just say photography. I'm taking the photography class. It's going to be on Saturdays, and it's only for like 2 months or something. Just every Saturday, 2 months for 3 hours online. So completely
cool.
paid for. You'll have the opportunity to engage with other students, even if you wanted to do like night classes in person after work, you could sign up for those, and it's really not limited to what you could choose, because it goes anywhere from like painting to like you could even do welding or automotive, real estate, cosmetology, electrical, CAD classes, computer classes, Adobe classes. Like, there's so many different options that you could choose from. Let's go on the website and then look up continuing education. So it's offered through the PEG grant that we got.
Yeah.
Kind of trains it trains people to go into the workforce.
That's cool. Wow.
Yeah, so use it because, it's there. You just have to do the research of what class you want to do, what days and times to line up with your schedule, and then contact them with the form that you fill out, which I'll be able to send you the information on. But yeah, you get to do free classes essentially that you're interested in.
I think I'd like to do the automotive one because being able to work on your car is going to be like a lifelong skill. Okay.
Yeah, they have all the tools and the resources and the teachers there to kind of use your car as a demo to teach you, the ins and outs of it. It is a really short class. I think they schedule their classes every 2 Saturdays. I believe the whole class is only 2 Saturdays. And then, you do a little bit of training in the classroom, and then after you get all the information about, the parts and what you're working on and, what equipment they have, then you would go out into the hands-on lab, and that's when you would bring your car in and then, check your tire pressure or something, or check your brake wear. So, yeah, they offer a lot as far as continuing education goes.
Wow, that's actually a really helpful resource. Okay.
Yeah.
Glad I know now.
Yeah. There's a ton of resources at the school. It's just, if you're looking for it, you'll find it. But, unless you're told, you won't really know.
Yeah, and that will kind of break up the monotony of like taking core classes or just like classes on one subject. Because I'm a psychology major, which I love psychology, but if that's all I'm learning about for like a year, I'm gonna need a break. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's understandable. Psychology is a really good field to get into. I think with the aspect of how things are going today, like there's a demand for psychologists. So, do you know what kind of field, like what jobs are out there? Have you done any research on jobs?
Yeah, I would like to go into child psychology. I want to work with the quote unquote bad kids, the ones that yeah, I know.
You'll be working with me, kids like me.
Right. No, literally, like the ones that, quite frankly, the ones that some people are starting to give up on that deserve a chance, because those kids don't just like spawn in and act like that. There's usually something that they've been through that is just too much for their child brain to handle, and they are just living life how they think will protect them or how they've learned to from bad sources. You know what I mean? And I want to give those children a chance to become adults that can thrive and be happy. So that's why I really want to go into that.
I'm not crying. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
No, I 1000% support that. Yeah, because like I said, there's there's people in my life that have definitely helped me for the better, and there's a need for that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and I want to work with underserved communities. Like if I could go into a war zone and give therapy to those kids, I would.
Yeah.
Obviously, I can't do that. Yeah, I can't do that. So, I want to work with a lot of foster kids or kids that are in situations where they're abused, whether that's mentally, physically,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
those are the kids I want to work with. So, I mean, yeah, I was gonna say it'll be fun. It'll be fulfilling, is what I meant to say, because I just
Well,
love.
it'll be fun to work with the kids because, when I mean, I don't know what age, but, it starts off with play therapy.
That.
And, being able to connect with them, engage with them, it will be fun because, to be able to get a kid to open up to you can be hard. I think a lot of times the kids want to protect their parents or they want to protect who's harming them because essentially it's going to be somebody that they know and they trust.
And they
So
love. Yeah.
speaking out will jeopardize that, and you kind of have to be the happy medium of getting them to open up with you and build a trust with you, which could be very hard.
And what sucks is that, I mean, I don't know if it necessarily sucks, but as therapists, we're mandatory reporters, which I understand.
That's the
Yeah.
word, girl.
Yup, and it sucks so
That's
bad.
those couple questions that you ask that's like, whoop, red flag, gotta report.
Literally. And that sucks because sometimes that's not what's best for the child. Like that child will just well, first off, CPS is going to get called, and that might make their home life worse because CPS sometimes isn't very effective. I'm trying so hard to not be mean, but I know CPS, like social workers, they're very, very overworked and underpaid. So I know they're trying their best, but a lot of times CPS goes into a home, they don't make the right calls, and then the child is in an even worse situation, and then they get pulled out of therapy. So it'll suck, really, really suck, knowing that I have to report this when the child finally opened up and nothing is
Oh, I see the aspect that you're coming out of. Like, your goal is to get them to open up and to trust you, but in turn, whenever they do finally open up and trust you, then they could be removed from the home. And then, so do you follow that case? So when they go into the transitional home, are you following the same case, or are they assigned to a new psychologist?
It depends on the situation. I honestly don't know how that works. I really hope with foster kids they would get to stay with me, but if they move across states, then I don't really know what I could do to stay in contact, especially because with kids it's hard to do online therapy because like you said, it is a lot of play therapy, or just like they might not be the best at using the technology. So it's a hard situation. And I've worked with therapists, not as a psychologist myself yet, but I've worked with therapists who have all been through that. And it's a heavy thing to deal with. And I feel like a lot of child psychologists,
you kind of have to have the discernment of what do I say and what do I not say, and how to protect the kid and what is the best interest of the kid. And all that, because I'm sure once the CPS comes in, then you get the case, and then you start working with them to kind of get them.
Or well, with CPS, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. You do.
Yeah.
And you just gotta hope that if the kid is pulled from you, then they're getting the help they need. But you never know, and you can't really do much.
All you could do is provide the resources at that point.
Yeah. So it's going to be tough, but the good parts of the kids opening up and me getting to actually help them will be nice. And then seeing them come out of their shell and seeing the amazing people they grow into,
And that'll be good because even if you do have a moment with them, even the small memories that I have with people that have made an impact in my life, it really could have just been off of like a 5-minute conversation or a 30-minute conversation. But no, the impact that you will make in the industry and like the takeaway and, the fulfillment that you'll have and the bonds that you create are, essentially could really impact a child's life. So,
Yeah,
that's important.
agreed. You're right. It doesn't have to be a long relationship for it to be a meaningful one. You're right.
But yeah, no, I mean, that would be a great path.
It is the perfect path for me, honestly, because I have always, always, always been so passionate about helping people. Like whenever I see people in distress, I want to do the best I can, and sometimes it hurts me when I can't do the best to, help them. So it is the perfect path for me, just getting to help the purest human beings, really. Because I mean, children, no matter how much they're acting out, whatever, like they are still learning how to human. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
no,
like,
I know what you
yeah,
mean.
yeah.
So I took psychology back in 2016. I took a psychology class, and I couldn't sit through the class. It was so eye-opening to me, and it made me connect with my inner child that like I couldn't sit in the class. Like it bothered me to a point where I was like, whoa, like bigger picture to this. And I had went on my own personal like independent study research, so to say, in finding how early childhood development plays an impact into adulthood. And that when I joined the workforce, I joined as a babysitter, and then I went to nanny and au pair and then house manager. So I held different roles. And throughout the 7 years that I was in the industry, and this was before welding, but while I was in that industry, my whole study was watching the parent interaction with the child and studying the different environments of home life, because I had grown up in a very rough home life where I didn't understand that other people didn't live like that. And so when I started babysitting, I realized that there are homes that operate out of love and support and purely just raising a little human being, because what I witnessed in my home was completely different. So throughout my study and research, I realized that there was a lot that had to do with between the ages of 1 and 5 was the most developmental ages, and the patterns that a child would learn would carry out through adult life. So studying people's patterns and realizing that, like you said, that usually kids aren't acting out just to act out, that it stems from something greater. And when issues aren't resolved through therapy at a younger age and the programs aren't being reset, then they carry these patterns throughout adulthood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, patterns that may have served them well as a child, may have protected them, may have kept them alive, but in their adulthood is wrecking their lives, really.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And so I know that they just made, Mental Health Awareness Day thing, and there's more HR trying to implement personal days. I don't know what they call them officially. Do they call them
I know there are personal days at work.
Off? Yeah, personal time off, I think,
like
is
paid time off, or maybe it is because my mom has paid time off and then personal days as an option.
Yeah, so I think they actually implemented personal days in the HR like worker manual. And so I think that's a huge step in the right direction because it allows company to realize that, people need more time off than just vacation or more time off than just maternity leave, or more time off rather than just sick days, but we also need personal days too.
Yeah, people are not robots, honestly, and it's draining. So just, yeah, sometimes it's not just a thing of, oh, I don't feel like working today. It's a thing of my brain is going to explode. Like I genuinely, like I'm so foggy. I need to rest. And it's amazing that we're actually
And
acknowledging
it,
that.
and it could just be work overload. I mean, think about the roles and positions that we serve. And like, sometimes, like you said, in the work industry, you're having to take on other tasks and roles and positions, and you have deadlines, and you have, I know there's people in the industry that have, customers or clients, or, too much of a workload. Like, sometimes people just get overloaded and they just need a day to relax.
That. And also with a lot of the jobs, obviously we use our brains for it. So even when we're home, it's very hard to turn off your brain, because if your job has to do with strategizing or, using like a mental skill, it's very, very hard to not worry about what you're going to have to do at work the next day, if that makes
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
could be personally like draining. Do you think that it would be implemented for like psychologists to even be closely partnered with like work, like an in-between step between HR and the worker, the employee?
Okay, so there actually is something like that, but in my experience talking to therapists, they don't like them very much, and it's for a good reason, because unfortunately right now a lot of work therapists work for HR, not for the employee. So
So they
they're
have the
trying
best
to make
interest of the
yeah,
company.
of the company, yeah. So they're trying to make sure you're good enough for work, and if you're not, then they can tell HR. Yeah,
Oh,
I know. It's so snaky. It's so
yeah.
bad. I really wish.
I could
Yeah.
understand this, yeah, because I knew somebody that was a police officer, and they also had, I don't know, that might be a shrink at that point, but they had, somebody that they can talk to, but they had to be very cautious of what you say, and those famous, what is it, 3 or 4 questions.
Yeah. Which sucks, because so it's not truly a safe space. Like talking to a psychologist is supposed to be safe and open and free, but it's like, oh, we're trying to help you. But if you say the wrong thing, you could lose your job. You know what I mean? Or like, yeah, I know it sucks. Yeah, and I feel like corporate people need a space to just relax. Like a lot of young professionals are really happy that they got to where they're at, and they're really grateful for that, but also it's just very exhausting. So
Yes, I could see
as
that.
someone, yeah, as someone who works like in corporate plus, has life, I realize that like we need a space to just decompress. So I'm hosting free events where we can kind of just get away from all that and just be human beings. And, we'll have like games, creative activities. And I want anyone to be able to join. Like, it's not just for young professionals, but it is targeted towards them. So that means no phones, no constant notifications, no emails, nothing like that.
Oh, so they'll be in person?
Yeah, in person. Yeah, no phones allowed. Or you'll bring your phone, and then I'll put it in my backpack that I'll have on me at all times. That way you're not constantly distracted by social media or by notifications or just the outside world constantly bombarding you with stuff, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So
And
it's
the
like a safe
talking,
place to just be able to
yeah,
disengage with technology and come
yeah,
together and get on a level where you guys can
with human beings.
connect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of
That's
the last
awesome. Where
goals.
do we find out where your events are?
Yeah, they're in Allen. If you go to my social media, my Instagram and Facebook are the same thing, Untethered DFW. You can click on the link in my bio and you'll see the exact location of the events. And it won't just be the games and creative activities. I also want to do outdoorsy stuff like hiking, or even just like nature
Ooh.
walk. Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
just so we can, yeah. And it's not, I'm really, really like particular about the fact that it's not a networking event. You're not coming here to like put on a facade and like, get people for business or like grow your career. You're just here to be a human being, if that makes sense. And like talk about your passions, your hobbies, whatever you want to talk about without having to put on like a corporate character. So, and yeah, it's every Saturdays. It's hopefully going to be really fun.
Okay. So I just found your Instagram page at Untethered DFW, and I see that you have phone-free events in DFW Saturdays at 4 p.m. Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you. Flyers. Oh, is this the flyer? No. Where's the flyer?
I didn't put the flyer on my Instagram. Sorry.
Oh, it's all good.
I'll put a flyer on there. I just figured since the link was there, it would be fine. But I'll put a flyer on there. By the time this podcast goes out, there'll be a flyer, guys. Don't worry.
No, it's all good. No, I really liked what you said about managing coming off as like, protecting as PR, you kind of like protect whoever you're being media for, right?
Yeah.
So I found when I do my edits, and this is super crazy, because when I talk to people, I find that some people contradict themselves with what they say. So then when I'm editing, I'm like, they'll say one thing, but then they'll say something that totally like scratches out what they said. So then I have to pick which one is more best in their interest. And so
PR.
Yeah, so I'm like snipping out pieces where like, it wouldn't look good on the school, because now I'm obviously representing the school. So I'm like, okay, well, now I got to take into consideration that most of my podcasts now have to be monetized. And with, now I have to also consider like, okay, with profanity, now I have to consider things like even bad mouthing, like certain things, like when it comes to companies or when it comes to schools or when it comes to people, like I tell my people like, okay, be as general as possible so that I don't have to do so much work.
That's so fair. That is so fair.
Because I'll take an hour of content and it'll take me like 3 hours to edit. And I'm like, this is a lot, So just know that like you don't have to worry whenever I do my edit. This is purely just to, for you to come on here and share your story and, get other people to come across your different platforms and so forth. So
it was just a random question, because I know podcasts are fun, high key to do, but I also know they're kind of hard to monetize because you have to get a sponsor to monetize it. So, I mean, like, do you know how you're going to monetize it? Because you seem like you're putting in the work into this. Like, you should get paid,
So I honestly didn't really know how podcasts first started when I started my podcast. I just knew that like I needed a support group and I felt alone. And so when I started the podcast, I was naturally like this as a kid. I was always I grew up around volleyball parents. So most of the time when my sister would take me to work, because my mom was a single mom, so my sister would take me and my brother to work. My brother was older. My brother could play with the bigger kids. She taught high school volleyball. I was younger, so I was part of the run after the balls and put them in the cart and then, sit on the sideline with parents and do my homework. And that's kind of how I spent my after school hours. So I started engaging with a lot of parents and, through babysitting and all that, like most of my communication have been with other parents. And I think to a certain level, like I'm able to engage with them, and I was naturally curious. So I would ask them like, oh, like, what do you do for work? Or, and I'd ask them for life advice and stuff. And so when I started my podcast, I realized the lack of support came from like within my home with my parents. And I know this is like kind of personal, but I needed a support group to support me in the trades because they didn't really support me being a manual laborer. And my idea of being a jack of all trades, the Hawaiian word kanaka means people. So it's people of all trades, not people of all teams. I wonder if I could edit that. Like, why did I even know to put that? But yeah, so I started the podcast and I did all my research on how to do it and what was the best method to do it. And I honestly don't even know, now that you're mentioning, getting donors and stuff like that. Yeah, it's something I could look into now, but I started running episodes and it really was just a supportive community. For me, Kanaka of All Trades is a support group for people of different professions, realizing that we're all on the same base level of having struggles, having challenges, having mentors, looking up to people that inspire you and how you got into the industry. And as a baseline across whatever industry anybody's in, it's a way to bring us all together. And so whether you're curious about another field or what type of work, a day in the life of, this person does, it kind of opens the world of seeing, what it's really like.
That's amazing. So you're just humanizing people of all different trades and showing our similarities.
Mm-hmm.
If that's what you're saying.
Yeah. And as Wailana Welds or Kanaka of All Trades, like whenever I see your guys' content, I'm always promoting it for you guys, just to let you guys know, like, I got your back. Like, if there's ever a shout out or a collaboration or, something that you're wanting support for, like, it's always a backfall if you know that you can't rely on anyone else, then, I'm always here. And, if they need help, like, I will help them with the resources or finding resources, mainly just finding resources that can help.
That's amazing. Wow. So you're really building a nice community here.
I'm trying. I fell off the deep end and I didn't do podcasts for about 8 months. So I'm getting back into it. It's a slow start.
But it's a start.
Networking, and I'm always talking to people and engaging with, business owners or, people who are in high executive positions or people who are in school as students or people who are in the industry working their way up into management. There's tons of people that I come across, and there's a baseline to where we all started. And this is where I kind of bring it back to, well, how did you come up with Untethered DFW? Where did you get the name from? We can all connect on some sort of base level, but I know I'm curious. Where did you get the name from, Untethered DFW?
So the Untethered name, it's okay. I really just wanted something to represent you breaking free from the digital noise. Again, not all tech is bad, obviously, but a lot of us do use it. I know at least I do, like, use it in negative ways. So Untethered is kind of like you're finally breaking free from that and disconnecting, if that makes sense. And then the DFW part is just because I'm in DFW and Untethered was taken. Maybe I could have named it Untethered was taken or something. But yeah, that's really it.
Yeah. And for the people that don't know what untethered means, can you kind of explain a little further?
Oh gosh, defining the word.
No, that's good, girl. Google AI. No, like, honestly, I rely on AI for everything. I like it way better than Google. Google still uses AI.
True. I started relying on AI for too much, and I realized that, like, I'm not thinking enough. Like, it was becoming a problem where, like, I would look up stuff on AI.
That's the future generation. You know who told me to use AI? All the freaking kids. All the kids were
But
telling me.
I mean, but we don't have to, because I feel like if I don't use my brain to do critical thinking and to like actually think things through, I will. It's a use it or lose it thing. I feel like if I'm not doing that enough,
Mm,
then eventually I'll probably become dumber. And I didn't want that to happen. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I won't, but I don't know. I know with psychology, what you use is what your brain like
mm,
hardens. I'm trying to like explain this without using like psychology terms. Yeah, what you use basically is like what your brain becomes good at. That's pretty
mhm.
much the basic principle. But untethered, the definition is free from constraints or restrictions, or not staying or forced to stay in one particular place. And I just feel like,
Wow, what
yeah,
a word.
yeah,
What a
yeah.
word. I love that word. I am untethered.
Yes. I mean, I feel like you're untethered if you have a hobby, or like if you feel like you're in control of your time and you're intentional with how you spend your time
Intentional.
online.
That's my word of
Yeah.
the year. Okay, this year, my word is intentional. That is the word I live by this
Yeah.
year. Every year I come up with a word. This year, my word is intentional. That
Okay.
is
Let's check
crazy.
back in December and see if you've lived by that.
Yes. Okay, because last year I had a phrase. My phrase was travel with a purpose.
Okay.
And I
Deep.
did live by that. So yes,
How
this
do you
year
how do you
is
live by it?
intentional. I am going to be because I love to travel, and I was just thinking like, how can I make travel purposeful? How can I make travel incorporated into a way that I feel more productive? And with productivity, it had to relate to the field that I'm in, and that is welding. So the whole year I was attending welding events. So every single welding event that I could go to that didn't conflict with my school schedule, I was there. And this year is more intentional. So last year I made the connections in the industry. This year is being intentional with following up with them and creating a relationship.
Okay. Quick question. What drew you to welding?
I've always been into the hands-on trades. Like I mentioned before, I kind of grew up in a rough home. My father was in construction. I wanted to go into construction. My mom was like, no. And so I kind of grew up a little lost. And I got into a lot of trouble growing up out of like a friend group. We could be all doing something bad. I would always be the one getting caught up. It was not fun. The moment I stepped out of line, flags were flagging. And it was like, okay. So my mom ended up putting me in a school, a charter trade school. It was a free program for kids to go to. And it was mainly for kids that came out of juvie or that were foster kids, with the exception of some religions also attending our school. So it was some like, not so good kids, and then some like on the polar opposite, really good kids.
Yeah.
And, it gave us the opportunity to kind of mix the two worlds together. And I realized after I graduated high school that my transcripts were looking like I was doing a lot better in my hands-on trades. And when I was like, oh, okay, I should probably do a hands-on trade, I was looking into like trade schools. So, sorry, I have to plug my computer in. It's about to die on me. But let me go backwards actually. So I left the industry, the nanny industry or whatever, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna go back to school. So I went back to school, and my mom was like, I wanted to go back to a trade school, but she was like, we have a local community college, just try that first. I've never been good in school. And so I ended up failing all my classes and then going to Job Corps, which is ran by the Department of Labor, and they sent me to Utah, where I got my manufacturing technology certificate. And then I got an intern at a shipyard, and then ended up back in Texas going for my associates. So now I kind of went back into welding, because when I was looking at my manufacturing technology certificate, it consisted of a lot of different trades, like machining, welding, composites, automation, robotics. We were supposed to have plastic injection molding, and then blueprint reading. And so out of all the classes, I got an A, except for welding, I got a B. So I was like, I really liked welding. I really did. I enjoyed it. But I wasn't able to complete my assignment time, and I ended up getting a B in that class because I asked for an extension to complete my assignment. So I spent another extra week, I think, a week or two completing the assignment, which was fine because it's a self-paced course. All of our work was online, and then we would do our hands-on labs and stuff. But I really enjoyed welding, and then that's what got me that shipyard intern. And so whenever I came to call-in, they offered trades. I believe in 2020, they had opened up the tech campus, and the tech campus had a lot of different programs, of one of which was welding. And because I had already had the welding experience, the associate's program allowed me to do different processes. So I took some summer CE class to begin with, and then got talked into that program. But this program that I've been in for like a year and a half, 2 years now, I'm really close to completing my associate's degree. And the first year and a half was just hands-on classes. So those hands-on classes gave me the opportunity to excel this far into my associate's program. But now I'm at the end of my curriculum, where the core classes is what's hindering from graduating right now. I struggle so hard in English and math and science and history.
Everything.
Yeah, I don't know if you caught that or not, but
Yeah.
I TSI'd 7 times. So
Same.
I've been excited for you. Yay! They're teaching me about time management.
PSI is basically like another version of the SAT. So I get it.
I'm glad I've been able to come this far, but at the same time, like, I didn't think I would make it this far. I believe that because of my childhood experiences, it had distracted me a lot from paying attention in class. And so I wasn't very focused in class academically in school. And so I didn't realize that I was having these troubles till later on in life. And so I went and sought like medical professional help so that I could overcome these childhood traumas and be able to move past and heal from it, and trying to change the way that I've been structured and, create my own level of support and only go to people that really only truly want to help and support me and love me. Because I think that's the challenge with my inner child, is feeling the lack of love or the lack of support. And I think that's like very important with somebody that kind of went through that as a child, is that as an adult, I'm always seeking that in other people and their acceptance and their support. And unfortunately, like now in this part of my life, I'm realizing not everybody wants the best for you. And, I've always kind of struggled with authority growing up, and it was hard for me to realize that I could trust people in the school, because growing up, I wasn't able to trust the cops, or I wasn't able to trust my parents, or I wasn't able to trust my psychologist. I wasn't able to trust my pastor. I wasn't able to trust my siblings. I wasn't able to trust my family. I felt very alone, and it made me shut down to a point where like I wasn't as social as I was as a kid, because as I got older, I started realizing a lot more in the level of understanding of maturity as I aged. And I think realizing that now just makes me want to change the way that I am and seek opportunities to help people that were in the same position as me, like in my younger years.
Wow. I love the amount of self-awareness you have and the fact that you took the time to work on yourself, you know? Like a lot of people.
No, I think a lot of people say that, yeah, but it's continual growth. It doesn't stop. So
True.
I had a lot of self-awareness when I was younger, and really it's because I've learned how to engage with a lot of parents and a lot of people, because there is a side to me that's silly and playful and fun, and like, that side of me will come out. But, for the most part, like, this whole life journey for me and the experiences that I've encountered has been all learning experiences, and unfortunately some of which are not favorable to children. But like I said, my lack of understanding of what was actually happening in the home, until realizing when I was going to my friends' houses that, oh, okay, like what I'm going through is not normal. That's kind of where it was starting to flip the switch, and I was like, oh, okay, there's something wrong here.
Yeah.
It kind of opened a different world. Setting boundaries is kind of my new goal now, is being able to say no, using my voice and being heard, and, speaking up for other people that, don't feel like they're in the position to speak up, or
Mhm.
speaking up for myself and not being, misguided.
Yeah. That's so important, knowing like who you are, what you want, and making sure people respect that, because a lot of people will try to not respect that and just walk all over you. So just being able to form the ability to stand up for yourself, honestly, is very, very important. Yeah, I'm glad you're learning that. This was a really nice talk. I'm really glad we did this.
Aloha Kanaka, thank you for tuning in to our 12th episode. If you enjoyed our talk, please follow at Kanaka of All Trades at Untethered DFW and follow your host at Wailana Welds.